If your goal is to build a great company, you have to work around the clock. If that's not your goal, you have to work just as hard. When my brother and I started our first business company, instead of renting an apartment, we rented a small office where we worked and lived. We slept in a gas station. We only had one computer that worked around the clock, 7 days a week. My girlfriend had to sleep in the office as well. At the office to see me from time to time. We worked nonstop. It's the only way to achieve a goal together. Basic arithmetic. If your competitors work 50 hours and you work 100 hours, you can do twice as much in a year. The success of the company depends a lot on your ability to correct mistakes. Perfect work without mistakes. When you look at the difference between a successful startup and one that failed, you can see that mistakes were made along the way in both. But the founders of one startup found and quickly corrected their mistakes. And the founders of to turn a blind eye to the mistakes and refuse to acknowledge them to the mistakes has really contributed to your popularity, with everyone quoting your words and saying that if you don't fail, that means you're not acting in a revolutionary way. It doesn't mean that I'm a fan of failure, but if you're doing something that's likely to lead to success, then you're doing the obvious things that companies you focus on what's important. A lot of companies buy expensive equipment that doesn't do anything, that doesn't improve the quality of their products. Like, what if we didn't spent on advertising? We invested in research, development, manufacturing, and design to make our cars perfect. And I think that's the optimal approach in manufacturing. You have to be relentless to take care of your customers and to improve the quality of your products. That's where you're going to be successful, especially if customers are not only happy with products and like you, your chances of success increase dramatically. Blindly following trends. May have heard me say that it's best to approach things from the point of view of physics and basic principles rather than building a theory by analogy. Break it down to its most fundamental and build a theory around it. That's a good way to understand whether it really makes sense or whether it's just what everyone else is doing. This kind of thinking is difficult, and not everyone can do that kind of reasoning. It takes a lot of effort. But if you're trying to do something new, then it's the best way to think. This approach was developed by physicists to solve problems that defy common sense. I can tell you that if you spend a lot of time doing something that's going to be of great benefit to the people around you, that you're not doubt it for a second, and you're meticulous and thoroughly detailed, then you will undoubtedly get there. The key to success is wishful thinking for what you really want. True entrepreneurs must clearly the difference between striving to make the world a better place and blindly chasing a dream that will never come true is not as easy as it may seem at first glance, and requires the utmost. It is important to always be honest with yourself. Keep this in mind that your introspection must be rigorous and meticulous, and you need to think about how to get the right people in your company, because every company is a community of people working together to create a product or service, and the talent, the effort, and the commitment of the people you work with have a direct impact on the success of the entire company. So take it very seriously about attracting valuable and talented people on your team, and whatever you do, you need to make sure that product or service is great. There's just no other way to do it right now, and whatever niche you are in, your competitors can easily wipe you out. So your product or service must be superior to anything else on the market. If you want to be even slightly different from your competitors, think about the consumers. Will they be willing to give up their favorite product or service? Will they want to switch from their favorite brand to switch to yours? You have to be 100 times than the rest of the world. That's when you can really succeed. And it gives a lot of people the impression that you're not afraid of anything. A lot of people call you crazy, and it seems to me that you doesn't seem to bother you at all. Where do you get the strength to? In spite of all the skepticism, I'm really just like everyone else. Ordinary people experience fear, and it's a lot you know when you believe in something very, 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 very strongly, and you're willing to do anything to achieve your goal. Then all the fears and doubts fade into the background, and people tend to think that if something scares them, then they shouldn't do it. Fear is a natural feeling. Get over it and don't focus on it. Attention to it. And if you're not afraid of something, then there's something wrong with your psyche. In order to reduce fear, is to accept defeat in advance. When I started SpaceX, I thought that our less than a 10% chance of success. I just accepted the fact that I was going to lose all the money. I thought if we could at least start over. A new start, and after we failed, another company would pick up the baton and take over the business we started. That's exactly what I thought. I thought when I started the Tesla car, the chances of success are negligible, so I resigned myself to defeat in advance and just did my thing. It's also very important to really love what you're doing, even if you're the best of the best in your field. But the new project doesn't give you any. If you don't enjoy it, you're doomed to fail. If you really love what you are doing, you think about it all the time, even when you're not at work. Living what you love, you are 100 times more likely to succeed than people who do things just for the sake of it. I'll tell you more than that. If you don't love your job, it's just not going to work. So do what you really love. I'm motivated by a better future when I think about the future. I want to experience joy in the future, and I will do everything in my power to make the future as good as possible. We all need to make sure that whatever happens, to inspire us to do new things, so that we can be excited about tomorrow. And that is my motivation in every attempt I make to make the future better. When Henry Ford made cheap and reliable cars, people said, yeah, what's wrong with a horse? It was a huge risk he took, and making mistakes isn't scary. The main thing is to be wrong about something every time. New